first snap of the day here from Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's a throw. Winston throws, and it's picked off. The first pass of the game is intercepted by James Bradbury. Winston runs out of time here, taken down by Gerald McCoy, former Buck, bagging his former teammate. Dumps it out of McCaffrey. He's got tons of room to run. Makes a move. Gets in the end zone. Christian McCaffrey undresses a handful of Buccaneers for his second touchdown of the day.
Poor Vernon Hargraves. You never want to be undressed by Christian McCaffrey, Bobby. It's been a while. Or maybe you do. I don't know. Welcome back to Not What You Think, where it might not always be as it seems. It's Thursday, October 24th. And Panthers have already had their bye and have already completely flipped their percentage to make the playoffs, Bobby, since our scorched earth rant. So,
you talking about playoffs already?
Well, I'm just saying their predictability for those analytics people, people like that stuff.
Yeah, I got you.
Anyway, so you're welcome for that, Panther Nation. I'm your host tonight, Den. Joined by Bobby tonight. You can give us a follow. I'm at Keep Pound Den. Bobby, of course, at Tacos and Slurpees. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, all that. Chris isn't with us tonight, but he's, of course, over at Peppajack NBB as well. And we're live with you tonight here on the Riot Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Subscribe, listen, 5 stars. Assure me bubblegum ice cream and Red Vines rule, Batman, all that fun stuff. We're over on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and theriotreport.com. All the housekeeping things, Bobby, but good to talk to you again. I haven't talked to you since London, man.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been a while. Man, we haven't really been live with the folks together in a while.
Yeah, we did the Periscope thing, and then you didn't tell me that I had to stay connected to Periscope, or I couldn't lock my phone screen, so it was a really embarrassing guest showing for me. But here we are, man.
Yeah.
Halloween week coming up, dude. So I hate Halloween. I don't know about you.
Why? Because you can't go trick or treating?
Mostly, honestly, I think it's because as a musician, you always have these. You play these shows where you're supposed to dress up as a band, and playing instruments in costume is the worst thing in the world. So I don't really like Halloween, but
I got you.
Have you seen this haunted house crap, extreme haunted house crap?
I have, man. It's crazy. I actually was telling my friend Jones about it. I was reading off everything to him, and he was just he's a Halloween fanatic. He goes to a haunted house. He just went to a haunted house. I want to say Tuesday, right? Because it was cheaper during the week. He went, and then I was explaining this one to him, and he was just no way.
You have to sign a waiver, and then that's not a haunted house though. I was reading that what they do, they make you go in a tank in the dark with eels and stuff that. You're basically almost dying.
That's Fear Factor.
Yeah, it's not so much a haunted house. Besides how much stuff can you stand
right
that people are doing to you, and they're pretty aggressive with you is what I feel. I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, they give you $20,000 at the end, so you know it's gonna be you know what I mean? It's they're not gonna give you $20,000
and no one's ever made it
a house, right? So yeah.
So I thought it'd be fun to bring that into our neck of the woods here, if you will.
Okay.
And one of the things that they do is they ask you what your biggest fears are.
Right.
And they basically tailor this horror movie around you. So I made the joke on Twitter that I would tell them I'm terrified of Anquan Boldin and the Panthers or something. So I'd have this Willy Wonka Fantasyland. But anyway, so I thought it'd be funny, if you're the Panthers right now, and we'll throw out injuries away from this, after what they've gone through, where they are right now with the whole Kyle Allen, Cam, everything going on. If you're the Panthers right now, what are your biggest, and again, injuries aside, non-injury fears in the NFL now? What are you afraid of most? What teams, what things happening, I guess you could say, that aren't injury-related in the NFL right now? If you're the Panthers, what's your answer to that?
I mean, if you're the Carolina Panthers, I don't really think you fear any team, right? I mean, I think you're just as good as everybody else, and you know what I mean. And on both sides of the ball, you know, you got the best running back in all of football. Arguably, you have the best. You have the best young wide receiving core, one of the best tight ends in the league, even at his age. I think the only thing you fear at this point, if we have to rule out injuries into this response, I think the only thing you fear at this point is the quarterback position. What happens? You know, does Cam come back this season? And if he does come back, is he going to be a shell of himself, or is he going to be the Cam Newton that we're expecting to see? You know, if he is a shell of himself, you put Kyle Allen back in. What if Kyle never gains that mojo back? You know, so I think that's the only thing you can really fear at this point. The defense is knocking on the door as being, you know, at least a consistent defense in the National Football League. But I think the only thing you can really fear is this quarterback position at this point.
Yeah, so yes, obviously a scary topic, period. I mean, if you're on Twitter, it's terrifying. But
right.
I think there's two things that come to mind for me. And I think that the NFC this year, period, is a little scary for the Panthers because I don't know if you had the same amount of powerhouses, at least up till this, I guess we're halfway technically through the season,
right,
that you did last year. So finally, you know, whether you can put it aside, Kyle Allen aside, you know, you're 4-2, you're sitting in a decent spot in the NFC, but you're nowhere near what someone would call, I would say, a powerhouse of the NFC. So I think that being in a tough conference this year might be a tough thing for the Panthers to get through. I'm not saying they won't. I obviously hope they do. But again, if you want to bring it to the quarterback position, my biggest fear is that I said this to you, Bobby. You know, the next two games, if I'm assuming he does start games again, Cam Newton, Cam's next two games might be the most important of his career as a Panther. I'm not going to say as his career, of his career. I'm going to say as a Carolina Panther. Because
I disagree, but go ahead.
My point is, and I'm not saying I made that joke today that Kyle Allen is one of the best backup quarterbacks because I was saying, yes, he is still a backup quarterback. But I'm saying that there is a short leash on what Cam does in his first, I'm going to say, 2 starts again. Do you not agree with that?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
Because that's media related. And I think that's not what you genuinely feel in your heart. I think that's what you feel the pressure is on from the media and from fans. But I mean, realistically, we know Cam Newton could have 2 bad games and come out his third game and light it up and light up the rest of the season, because we know Cam let's just be honest, we know Cam is an inconsistent quarterback at times, and he can look horrible for a couple of weeks and then he can just come out and look absolutely stunning, right? And I don't think you believe that in your heart. I think that stems from media pressure and fan pressure and rumors. I think that you're letting that play a part in your response. I don't think you wholeheartedly believe that, because I think the Den that I know, and I could be wrong because you could have changed your mind during this time, but I know the Den of if Cam did have 2 bad games, you would say, man, Cam has to be better than that, but I believe he can pull it out next week. Right. But I think you giving him a 2-game leash, it's the exact same amount of games I gave him, but I didn't give it to him as a fan of Cam Newton and knowing what he's capable of. I gave it to him based upon the amount of pressure, the fact that the Carolina Panthers are technically in playoff position, as you stated earlier, and what he can't do for the amount of pressure that's going to be on his back if he messes up.
Well, okay, maybe I said the wrong words. I didn't say I was giving him a leash. I just said, and to clarify, I said these could be 2 of the most important games of his career as a Panther, meaning that, you know, the microscope is going to be on everything this guy does in the next 2 games. And if he really wants to shut people up, is what I'm saying, then he doesn't have a lot of games to do that before people, and I don't mean Panthers fans, I mean everyone else in the world, completely just give up on this guy. So my point is, his first 2 games, he has to do good, and not for Panthers fans, but just for everybody, before they give up on him. And that was what I was saying is my biggest fear, is that he's just going to come out here out of the gate after missing all these games and have one of the biggest microscopes he's ever had on him. That's a fear of mine, is what I was saying.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I just don't see how being an MVP candidate and going into an NFC championship game, blowing a team out, higher expectations in the Super Bowl. I don't think these next two games are even close to that. I think as at this point of his career, it's just a, which way does he go from here? I don't think it's the most important of his career as a Carolina Panther. I just think it's the most important for the rest of his career, right? I think that's how I look at it. I just don't see these next two regular season games being close to being the most important games of his career at all. I mean, it's not a playoff game. It's not to get into the playoffs. I think it's, regular season talk, so much hype being placed around it that we may be overhyping these moments. I just feel that way. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see how these, his next or his first or second game back could even equate to being the biggest of his career. I just don't. And I could be wrong, but I just don't.
Okay, so maybe we're just not agreeing on the words there, but fine. You have any other? We'll move on from that one because obviously not a fun topic. Do you have any other fears that this Panthers team could face right now besides someone getting injured?
Yeah, that interior line on the defensive side. People have already hopped on the Vernon Butler, the Big Vern, should I say, bandwagon. I got to see more from him and Gerald McCoy. I can't just get a game against Gerald McCoy's old team, one of the most inconsistent teams over the last decade in the National Football League in Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I can't just get hype over 2.5 sacks that game. I can't get hyped over Vernon Butler, having 2 forced fumbles that game against Jameis Winston. I need to see more from those two guys over the course of the next few weeks, and it starts in San Francisco. Then it, brings back if it's Ryan Tannehill or whoever it may be. And then you got A-Rod. You got Aaron, as you may say. Aaron Rodgers is going to be another challenge for these guys, right? That's when you really show me what you're made of. And you got to start somewhere, right? And I'm not taking it away from them. They did it on a big stage in London. However, consistency is key. And if you can do that against Jameis Winston, I expect you to do that against Jameis Winston, right? But I want to see what you can bring against guys like, when we play Russell Wilson this year, when you go up against guys like Aaron Rodgers, I want to see what you can bring in those games. That's what sells you to me. So my only other fear is the question marks in that interior of the defensive line, those two DTs. I want to know what they're bringing.
Yeah, it's funny. I sent that meme or whatever GIF video, whatever you want to call it, about Vernon Butler and you. I feel like you've been very quiet on Vernon Butler this year.
Man, I really have nothing to say about him. I mean, it's like, bashing him gets old. I don't really want to bash anybody, so I try to keep my talking trash about somebody levels at an even playing field. I don't want to bash you all the time, right? So Vernon Butler is like, people accept whatever he had a tackle. It's like he's supposed to get tackles, right? He's a defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. But it's like people are so used to subpar performances from him that as soon as he does what he's supposed to do, people just blow it out of proportion. And I truly feel that's what they did, 2 weeks ago in London. Is it almost a week and a half ago at the London game? But I mean, hey, listen, that could have been the spark he needed, right? And I hope it was the spark he needed. I spoke positive about him after that game, and I hope he saw what we were saying. Let's not fool ourselves. These guys read comments from fans. They search their names on Twitter, and they find what we're saying, and I hope he was able to see that positivity, and I was able to give him a kick. So I've been quiet on him because at the end of the day, he's the starter now. So I don't want him scrolling through and seeing a bunch of negativity, right? Before, he was the backup. If he saw me talking trash about him or saw somebody else talking trash about him, cool, get yourself together. But now he's the starter. Hopefully we can contribute to a better mindset. Previously, I never really thought players searched their names on Twitter until I had some responses from players. I got blocked from some players that I never even, mentioned their handle. Yeah. I just mentioned their name. Charles. Yep. It started with Charles Johnson like 3 years ago.
Type the word Thomas Davis. You'll see what happens.
Say that again.
I said type the word Thomas Davis in a tweet, good or bad, and you'll get a response.
Man, I did. I didn't even type Thomas Davis. I typed TD, and his wife apparently had an issue with what I said. And shout out to Mrs. Davis. She's a wonderful lady. And, she deleted the tweet before I was able to respond. I ended up responding. She responded back. We hashed it out really, really easy and quickly. But it was crazy because it's like, you know how much stuff has to come up for TD? That stands for touchdown, too.
It does.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, how many tweets did you scroll through? But it's just crazy, man. Like, they search this stuff.
That's a fun Sunday. J-Rod, Dr. J-Rod 99 on Twitter, awesome point. Biggest fear, all the expiring contracts coming this offseason. That's a big one. I know that you talked about that one earlier in the week. But anyway, let's move on from the fears here. And thanks to you guys for joining us on all our networks here. We are on the whole Riot Network fun gathering here. Twitter, well, our Twitters, Facebook, YouTube, however you want to watch us. Anyway, next topic I want to discuss, Bobby. Gerald McCoy, a Batman guy, has more sacks than Brian Burns, a Spider-Man guy. Let's talk about it.
I mean, I don't really know what. No. I mean, what's the snap count? What's the snap percentage?
I don't know. Honestly, one of the biggest things I do want to talk about, and we have to talk about, Bobby, is a guy that the Panthers have not lost with yet.
Are we talking about Bruce Irvin?
Yeah. Who else do you think I was going to talk about?
I know you too well.
Panthers Panthers averaging one entire sack more a game in the 3 games that he has played with the Panthers. Coming off the left, awesome game in London. Thought he that play where he basically caused that pick to Elliott. Thoughts on Bruce Irvin now after basically throwing tomatoes at me all off season. I'll let you have the floor.
Listen, this is a league of 16 games. So I will give you the same thought that I give everybody else. And I know people hate when I say this, but you got to show me the stuff against, the teams that we're going to play that are going to be heavy, right? Bruce Irvin, I like him because he is a veteran. And I saw Sheena Quick, by the way, shout out to her and all she does. She tweeted earlier that Ron Rivera saw Mario Addison and Bruce Irvin as a positive veteran combo for Brian Burns, right? So you educated me earlier this year, and I was kind of going off the deep end about why I thought Bruce Irvin was, slightly being a little overrated by you. And you educated me. You said, hey, man, listen, it's not just the on-field performance. It's the stuff that you guys won't see. It's the, mentoring the Brian Burns, mentoring the Christian Millers of the world, things of that nature. And that resonated with me after. And it really set with me. And then when I saw Sheena tweet it out today, it really made sense. So I can honestly tell you, on the field performance, I don't expect this guy to 10 sacks this season. I do expect him to be disruptive on the field, to be a great rotational guy. But I think more than anything, I think the product we've seen on the field from these young guys has been a huge push from a guy like Bruce Irvin. So what I've seen on the field from him, I've been really impressed. I won't lie. I will not lie. I've been very, very impressed by what I've seen on the field from Bruce Irvin. I didn't know he still had that step. I mean, again, last year in the ATL, he looked absolutely atrocious. He looked horrid. He did not look good. I don't know what he found, if he found the fountain of youth again, but he definitely looks totally different than he did in ATL. So I will say, Den, so far you were right on that. But again, we have 8-9 more games to go. So.
Well, in statistically, I mean, Bruce only has 7 tackles and 1.5 sacks. So, obviously not making crazy numbers.
Right.
But, like I said, the thing that makes me made me most excited about Bruce was the fact that his situational, if he gets 1 sack a game and it's that big third down or whatever, that's what I'm talking about. So statistically, he's already shown that. So I don't know. I'm actually surprised by Bruce myself. Got some good comments here, how he brings leadership, how he makes offensive players think twice just due to his reputation. Got that he was the second best signing that you need veteran leadership to win a championship. We saw that in 2015. So
that's a fact.
I don't know. Of course, when you add that to Brian Burns and you add that to Mario Addison's sack totals, things can look a little better. So we'll go from there. But one thing, some news this week. Panthers did move on from Ray and Greg Dortch, the electrifying one, which I don't know if can you just stroll up with that name, You can't just drop the electrifying one in there. But we'll see how it goes. I think he's 5'7", Bobby.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on Greg Dortz right now? Obviously, haven't seen much of him at all. Everyone, you always pull me down from the pedestal when we start bringing up college tape and how fast this guy can go. A lot different when you get to the NFL.
Yeah, it's a lot of fast people that played in college.
Yeah, so
I mean, the response was, he's fast. That was like the response from a lot of people. After meeting him and watching him on the field, they said he's fast, which is great because you have to have speed to be a punt returner. Let's see what his vision is like Sunday. Let's see what his patience level is like. Let's see what his hands are like. I can't make any comments about a guy who was lingering on a practice squad or, just hanging around just for the simple fact that, I haven't seen him play yet. I saw a couple of NFL clips from him being with the Jets. He's fast. He really is. He seems to be able to follow a block here and there, which is very, very important. But it's totally different when it's game time and that ball's kicked to you in a regular season game, not a preseason game. We'll definitely see. I mean, the kid was super excited. I was so happy to see his just responses on Twitter, how happy he was. And you said it, Den, a couple of days ago. You said it's one thing to, get signed to a team and be happy that you're signed, but it's another thing to actually want to play where you're going. And he definitely seems to want to play. To my understanding, he's a hometown kid, so that's another push. And that would just be amazing if he can put on for the city, but while at the same time win some games for Carolina and help contribute in that return game.
Yeah, he had his new profile picture up there pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Could have done a little better with the Photoshop, I'm not going to lie. But
yeah, he could have.
I got some comments in there regarding Terry Godwin. I was actually shocked that I was sure that they were going to sign him. I mean, I hated that he didn't even make the roster.
Right.
Granted, he had a good first half of the preseason, arguably not a good second half. Dropped a couple muffed a couple punts, I should say. But anyway, I think there's I don't think that anyone would disagree with the move. It's just a little unsettling. It's kind of we thought Damiere Byrd was small. This is this is a lot smaller. But I don't know. We'll see where they go from there. Don't want to spend too much time on a guy who hasn't played a game yet, or we don't even know if we'll see him in a game.
Yeah.
So let's move on here. We a lot to talk about here. The trade deadline, Bobby.
Yeah.
I know you were on the other day talking about the wide receiver market. We see Emmanuel Sanders will be across the field. Hopefully we get him at a good time where he doesn't know too much of that playbook.
Right.
But names like A.J. Green, Josh Gordon, I have no idea what's going on with Josh Gordon. And Patriots fans here in Boston, I'm going to be honest, don't really know either.
Well, they should know. I mean, it's been in the news for the last day.
I mean, what the real story is here. I know that Harry is coming back, but how do you let Josh Gordon go? There must be some. I don't know if it's more injury related or I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this question: have you been impressed watching him on the field?
No, but I would never say he's not doing well.
No, that's not what I asked. Have you been impressed with what you've seen from him?
No.
Okay, so the Patriots actually need receivers right now. A lot of people don't realize that. But New England actually needs guys to catch the ball right now. That's one of their things where Belichick's trying to figure out what wide receivers he can depend on. And he's willing to let Josh Gordon walk for nothing, right? So I've watched him play. I haven't been impressed with anything. Everybody's like, I guess they're stuck on Cleveland, Josh Gordon, but he's not that guy anymore. And I'm not saying that he can't be that guy. Listen, I advocate for these guys to get opportunities all the time, especially guys who have had issues off of the field. I always love to see them be able to get themselves back on the field, both mentally and physically. However, Josh Gordon clearly has handled some mental issues well. Kudos to him. He's back in the game. But physically, I don't know if he's still that guy, if he's still there, or if he's going through the motions of saying I'm back in the NFL and I'm getting a check again. right? And I'm on the team. I just don't see that oomph behind his route running. I don't see that go-getter behind what he's doing. Granted, maybe a change of scenery may help. There's been rumors that some just don't want to play for Bill Belichick. Maybe this is Josh Gordon's way of getting out of New England. I can only go by rumors, but rumors are told that he doesn't, run the best practices. He pushes the guys too hard. Guys get pushed too hard. They barely see game time. So I don't know. Maybe this could be related to that. Maybe it's just related to an injury. Listen, when he IRs a guy and basically saying they're going to waive him as soon as, the IR situation is cleared up, and Josh Gordon says, hey, nothing's wrong with me. I'm about to be completely healthy, but these guys are wanting to get rid of me for nothing. And then Bill Belichick basically kind of avoiding those answers, avoiding giving answers to those questions. Something's going on, right? I mean, maybe Bill Belichick just feels that. I mean, listen, I think it was Ben Watson just a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
Was talking about Bill Belichick and basically saying that, hey, he told me one thing and did another.
Yeah.
So I don't know what Bill Belichick is doing right now. When you have two guys who are dependable guys or should be dependable guys in your receiving game, one a tight end, one a wide receiver, you have one just last week say that you reneged on something and you basically weren't a man of your word. And then you have a wide receiver the following week basically say, I don't know what he's telling you, but it's false. I can actually play. Something's up. Right, I don't know what it is, but something's up. You don't get two guys.
Where do you think he goes? Where do you think Josh Gordon ends up?
I don't know. I could see, I won't say the Panthers. Every Panther fan on this side of America is going to say, Carolina. I'm not going to say Carolina. I could definitely take a look at, somebody like, I don't know, Pittsburgh, giving them an opportunity, just to help out Mason Rudolph. I could possibly take a look at, I'm thinking the Eagles, possibly, because of what they're going through. Eagles have been rumored to want guys like Robbie Anderson to make a move for him. Rumors came out today that Alshon Jeffrey wasn't happy. Nelson Aguilar is playing like trash. He's not even tracking down balls for them. Deshaun Jackson is just a shell of himself at this point. I could definitely see the Philadelphia Eagles giving him a shot, pairing him up with Carson Wentz and putting him in that offense. But outside of that, I don't really see many teams who are going to be lining up to sign Josh Gordon, contrary to what people may believe.
Yeah, people making Aguilar jokes in fires now. I mean, yeah. I actually have Aguilar on my fantasy bench, by the way, which we've taken a loss since we've talked, Bobby. But but no, so it begs the question. The wide receiver market's crazy right now. Of course, Robbie Anderson's a big name that's been coming up with all the CBS people. Patterson's out there. And you look at the Panthers right now, and fourth on that depth chart is Brandon Zylstra. Now, with the way that the Panthers use their receivers, I mean, we haven't even seen a lot of Jarius Wright this year. Do the Panthers have to replace that Chris Hogan void this year around this time? Is that a must for you? Because as someone just mentioned here in the comments, this, knock on wood, obviously, always knock on wood, could quickly turn into a 2017 situation if you don't prepare that depth, right?
I think so, but I don't. All right, I just listen. I'm like up and down with this whole situation. The way I feel is we have three wide receivers we feel we can depend on. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and Jarius Wright. If we still had Jonathan Stewart, then I would say, yeah, we probably need to go out and make a move, but we don't. We have Christian McCaffrey who's going to get anywhere from 7 to 10 targets a game. On top of that, we have the luxury of having two tight ends who can play football, one tight end, Ian Thomas, who won't see the field often because he's not a good blocking tight end. We all know Chris Manhertz gets his time, but we also have Gregory Olsen, right? And I feel as if Olsen does more than fill that void of needing a fourth wide receiver. I feel that if push comes to shove, you can run a double tight end set, right? Will Norv do it? We don't know. But when you start talking about, do you need a wide receiver right now? I don't think so. You go down the list again, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Jarius Wright, Greg Olsen, Christian McCaffrey. Those are five guys that are going to get targets throughout the game, right? So then you ask yourself, okay, maybe we need depth just in case. Maybe you do. So then you take a look at, okay, Ian Thomas is still there to throw in here and there if you need him. Then you start to look at, okay, well, what's on the practice squad? What's worth us trading for a guy like Robbie Anderson, right? Is it worth giving up a possible second, more than likely a third? I don't know, right? I don't know if it's worth that. Everybody looks around and they say, well, it's only a third. Well, that only a third could have been used to trade up in the draft, right? Is Robbie Anderson really that good? Like, people are talking about Robbie Anderson like he's, just, 10 catches a game. Robbie is good. I mean, he's a solid wide receiver, but he ain't bringing more to the table than DJ or Curtis. And do you really want to give up a third for depth? Like, think about what we're talking about. We don't need a wide receiver. We just need depth. So do you really want to give up a third round pick for depth? You get what I mean?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Go ahead.
And a lot of people are questioning, and Ron actually talked about it this week, about where's Ian Thomas been?
He can't block.
Yeah, and although they did do a big piece on how good Chris Manhurst is as a blocker, but I think that is one thing that maybe we've talked about Norv playing chess. Who knows? Maybe Ian Thomas will show up in the second half here. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, do the Panthers, if you look at their depth chart, right? Do they need a name there? Probably, but how often is that name even going to get on the field? I mean, Chris Hogan, what did he have, 3 catches before he got hurt? I mean, so that's a. I don't know if you're going to get a guy that's going to be used there. I mean, who are you taking off the field?
That's my point. Yeah.
But to the point of the comment here, if players are taken off the field via injury, not by you taking them off the field, then it becomes a problem. So it's a little bit of a gamble, but I don't think you need to go giving assets away. So.
Yeah, just for depth. I mean, listen, if you want to sign a guy just for depth, go call Michael Crabtree, right? I mean, Michael Crabtree, veterans minimum for the rest of the season. Those moves I'm okay with, but I can't see depth as far as trading a third, because that's what it's going to take. I just don't see giving up a third for depth. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And again, guys like, Pierre Garçon, Dez Bryant, Michael Crabtree, these guys are out here. They're free agents, so you could easily call one of those guys and sign them for next to nothing and keep a draft pick. They'll be happy. If Carolina calls Dez Bryant, you don't think he's going to jump through the roof? If Carolina happens to call a guy like Michael Crabtree just for the rest of the season, even if he never sees the field, you don't think he's going to be happy to be there? Like, these are guys, granted, they're not Robbie Anderson's age or they don't have his legs anymore, but they are sure third down guys and a depth guy. Right, so that would get you next to nothing to get him in here.
Yeah. Also, in the comments here, call back Torrey. Don't give up any picks. Just call.
There you go.
Just
I can almost promise you,
I'm okay with
if
that.
Carolina called Torrey, he'd come back.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks for hanging on here with us. We're just we'll do some closing thoughts here. Bobby, you know one of my favorite things is to just let you know when I'm right all year.
Oh, we know.
So Jamie Collins leading all linebackers in coverage, by the way. Don't sign him in the offseason, then. You're you don't know what you're talking about. So Jamie Collins, I'm glad that he is kind of shutting people up. Unfortunately, it's for the Patriots, but I would say the majority of people said that guy was a kind of washed up, bust, egotistical, and he's walking the walk right now. So cool for Jamie Collins. But
I never understood people having issues with athletes that have an ego. Like, I want you to have it because that lets me know you care about what you do on the field. Like, if you have an ego playing basketball, maybe he might not pass the ball. Maybe he'll be a ball hog. When you have an ego on defense, who cares? Who cares? Like, everybody gets mad about Jalen Ramsey. Sure, I thought the whole Brinks truck or whatever he did outside of the, stadium, during training camp was horrible, but who cares? Like, you need a guy with some swag, man. Like, I want you to care about how you look on the field. Like, I want you to.
I've never had a problem with swag if you can play. It's when you can't,
Right.
So,
right.
Let's finally pour one out for Anquan Boldin, finally retiring. Of course, the week he retires, all the wide receiver talk comes up. So, hey, I tried for you guys, but also, finally, I have this thing. I think it's in your notes there, Bobby. I know you can't exactly see our live screen, but
I see everything.
They sell NFL jerseys now that are sweatshirts. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I have.
Are those cool? Because when I go to a game, like, I kind of don't love the jersey, but I kind of want to look like I'm wearing a jersey, but I'm also usually cold. and I want a hood. But I don't know if these are cool. I figured I'd poll you guys. Is wearing a Christian McCaffrey hoodie weird?
I think it's actually better than having a jersey.
I like that. See, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, here's why I say that. Because during this time of the year, I'm going to throw a hoodie on under my jersey anyway.
There you go. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, why not have both? You know, Bill, I mean, 2 in 1, right? So I actually think the design is great. The only thing I would change is probably removing it from being too jersey-like. Like the sleeves, I'd probably leave the jersey design part off of the sleeves,
Dude,
right?
It's even got the patch. It's even got the 25 seasons patch, you know?
Yeah, I noticed it. Yeah. I mean, I love it. I love the idea, man.
Like but I would want the white jersey and then I'd wear black pants because that's obviously the best uniform combination. But I'm sure you can get different colors. So anyway, people online, we get some wants here. People like that. So I just wanted to check with you guys if it was cool before I showed up and got crap at a game for one. You know what I'm saying?
Someone said it's cool, especially around here in the Northeast.
That's what I'm saying. It's like 4 degrees out there. That's actually not that bad today. But all right, before we let you guys go, the last thing I want to say, I'm not gonna, hey, Bobby, I almost called you Chris. Bobby, we went through a whole episode without bringing up the K versus C argument. And one thing I do want to talk about is what you brought to my attention. Dominique Foxworth today on, I believe it's First Take, said something that I've been basically defending forever regarding the way that we look at quarterbacks. And I think it's very important when you look at what's going on in Carolina. You can give me all these trade tweets all you want. You can tell me, you can give me the stats of the Panthers with and without Cam. But I think that unless you're an actual fan of this team that watches all 4 quarters, you probably inflate what Kyle Allen is actually doing. And who was the other dude he was talking to today? The idiot.
Man, I forgot his name. I cannot remember his name. I know Foxworth was amazing with what he said, but I forgot who he was talking to, man.
Anyway, here's what Foxworth said that I think is super important when not only comparing Kyle and Cam, but also just comparing quarterbacks in general. Here we go.
When Cam Newton is healthy enough to play this season, in your opinion, should they just put the ball in his hands?
Absolutely. Let's calm down on the Kyle Allen thing. We keep using wins as if it's an actual quarterback stat. If you look at the real stats, he's about average QBR. He hasn't turned the ball over, which is great, but their defense is playing awesome. They have the second best drive start average in the league, and they're not even moving the ball that well. He's okay, but Cam Newton has the potential of being great.
So there you go. I mean, that's one thing that a lot of people don't consider is where the Panthers have been starting on their fields. And when I was in London, I brought up the one thing that I will say for Kyle Allen is I know he has 1,000 fumbles, but not throwing an interception is going to help you win games when you have a Christian McCaffrey and when you have a dominant defense causing turnovers and all those sacks. So I think one of the biggest things that he brought out there, though, was stop comparing quarterbacks by wins. They're not starting pitchers.
Right.
And I think that is a very important thing where if you're a pitcher, you're one-on-one with the batter. You let up a home run.
Yeah.
That's you. That's you, bro. Might be the catcher, whatever you want. But, we've seen interceptions here that have bounced off people's faces. And I think that people do get caught up, especially up here in the Northeast, with rings and wins. And it doesn't matter how you get that W. It's if this quarterback got a W and this quarterback did not get a W, then that quarterback's better than that quarterback. And if it's those people that are gonna lead this whole Kyle and Cam thing. And
by those means, Cam Newton's better than Brady.
There you go. And I'll spare you the whole clip, but I did like the end of it here where they go back and forth where I forget who the other dude's name was. I don't even want to give him
he's not even worth it.
The airtime, but he shuts it down basically saying that the Panthers have lost X amount of games in a row with Cam and whatever. But then there's some fun Transformers talk. We'll leave you with this tonight. Again, Dominique Foxworth over on First Take.
Playing against Cam, he is like a transformer. Like the dude is gigantic and he's scary, but he's going to give you one. And you only have 11 and a half possessions a game. He's going to give you one.
So you'd rather start the guy that's the human walking next to the transformer than the transformer. Give me Optimus Prime.
Give me Optimus Prime. That's what we're going with, Bobby. So hey, hopefully it'll be soon. I didn't expect him to to play in the San Francisco game, but I'm circling that Tennessee game. I hopefully would expect Cam to see Cam there rather, win or lose here in San Francisco. How do you feel about that?
Why? He doesn't need to be there. I think more than anything, him being
He doesn't need to be where?
He doesn't need to be in San Francisco.
Oh no, that's that. No, I said I was weeks ago saying don't bring him back for San Fran. I'm circling the Titans game as the.
Oh,
Cam
you mean
comeback.
as far as playing?
Yeah.
I'm circling the Falcons game.
Okay, I'm going to be at that game, by the way.
At
Hopefully
home,
you are too.
Yep, at home November 17th. I think that game does a few things. And I'd like to see what we really have in Kyle Allen. It really gives Cam a few more weeks to say, hey, get healthy. And even if, hypothetically, let's just say we go 500, like Cam coming back, we still don't know how Drew Brees is going to look now that he's back, right? So Cam coming back against the Falcons, I think that would be the perfect spot to bring him back against one of the worst teams in the league, even though it is a division game against a team that he does not like. That's where he's from. He always wants to beat them. I think that would be perfect for him. Expectations are not going to be high. It's not going to take much to beat Atlanta. It will take much to beat San Francisco. It's going to take a lot to score on Tennessee, and it's going to take a whole lot to beat the Packers. I think that Atlanta game, you just bring them right in.
I'm with you, man. He's got a lot of pent-up stuff about that team, and I love that we can talk about the Falcons being one of the worst teams in the league right now. All that stuff makes me happy. That's going to do it for us this week, though, guys. We'll talk to you next week and hopefully get this big win in San Francisco. Keep pounding, guys.
Keep pounding.